heard the phrase, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? Well, in most situations, this statement holds true. It all depends on how the child was raised when they were growing up. But what about you? I'm sure we've all had those rough patches with our parents, where you're not kids and just can't really seem to agree on anything. Your mom or dad says, listen to me, I know what's best for you. And you say, well, why can't you just see it my way for once? But I'm sure we've all had those really great times with our parents as well. Going shopping with your mom, helping your dad in the garage, bonding time that you won't forget. But for a lot of kids, their interactions with their parents sound a lot like the first argument that I described to you. This can often be a result of parents who just don't really care or overprotective parenting. Personally, my parents have always supported me and my sisters in what we've done in life, or what we've chosen to do. I've learned a lot from them, like kindness and how to be a good role model for other people around me. I've learned this not only from what they say, but also from their actions. The ways that I will be talking about in this speech will be ways that can affect parenting or overprotective parenting, ways and why it's beneficial to be a good parent. First, I will cover the problems that overprotective parenting can cause, and then I will cover the solutions that can help prevent it, and then I'll help you visualize what can happen if these solutions are or are not put into place, and then I'll help you know what you can do. Way too often, kids experience overprotective parenting at home. So how can we recognize what it is? Well, Paratree.ca discusses Diana Baumein's 1991 study and states Baumein's definition of authoritarian parenting as of a parent who loves their child but exerts control over every aspect of that child's life. And this can show in many ways. A child can learn resentment, can learn how to start lying to their parents, and often there's no trust in these sorts of relationships because parents put tracking devices in their kids' phones. They go through everything that the child owns, like their phone or whatever they have. And as you can see, there is no trust here. Now, as I just said, these children learn resentment, they learn how to lie, they sneak out more often, they hide things from their parents, and other things just like that. Now, when this happens, there's no trust in these sorts of relationships, it can cause a lot of destruction in the parent and the child's relationship. And this can also affect the child academically. Again, Paratree.ca states, while parents have tremendous potential to increase their child's academic success, they have equal potential to cause their academic failure. For example, a parent can only accept and expect perfection on their child's schoolwork, in sports, or whatever the child does. And in turn, this puts a lot of pressure on the child and it can affect their academics in a lot of negative ways. In these situations, as I stated before, the child learns resentment and they grow up to tend to not act like their parents. In this case, the apple does fall far from the tree. And they vow to not treat their kids how their parents had treated them. But on the flip side, there are kids who grow up to act just like their parents in these situations. CenterForParenting.org states that children often grow up to mimic their parents' beliefs, behaviors, and attitudes. Even though there are many situations like this, there are steps that parents can take to prevent this from happening in their homes. One way to do this, and a first step that a parent can take, is to keep the phrase, do as I say, not as I do, out of their mouths from the time a child can talk. From the time a baby can focus on things around them, they mimic their parents' behaviors, like walking, talking, or their mannerisms. Lancaster.unl.edu states, children are born without social knowledge or social skills, and they eagerly look for someone to imitate. That someone is usually one or both parents. Parents are a child's first teacher and role model, and usually children are more affected by what their parents do than by what their parents say. They learn how to behave by seeing how their mothers and fathers behave, and by following their examples. An example of something a parent can do in this step is to teach their child to say please and thank you by not only telling them to, but by also doing it themselves. This can help a child learn good manners as they grow up. Another way that a parent can be a good role model for their child is by not gossiping in front of their children and by showing respect towards them. For example, if your child comes up to you after school and is super excited to show you what they did in art class that day, don't brush it off with just a, not now, sweetie, I'm not in the mood. That shows them that their feelings aren't valid, and it's not right to do that. You should sit down with them and show interest in what they did. As a child grows up and moves into their teen years, it is vital to develop trust. That is the gateway to a good relationship with them. Trust, as defined by dictionary.com, is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. RaisingChildren.net states, including your child into family discussions and trying to do things that your teen says you should do are ways to be a good role model. These are ways that can help you build a foundation of trust. Another way to help build trust with your teen is to always have rules with a reason. What I mean by this is if you tell your child that they can't do something or can't have something, always have a reason behind it, because it shows your child that you know how to make good decisions and that you know what's best and that they can trust you. Parents.au.reachout.com states it will also set your child up to develop healthy relationships in the future. It's worth noting that teenagers are going through an intensely private time in their lives. Personal space becomes very important to them, so the desire for privacy doesn't always mean a trustworthy activity is taking place. It's important to keep that in mind. Now, being a good role model, many benefits can come from this. Picture this. As your child grows up, you take all the right steps as a parent, do the right things, make the right decisions. Now take for granted that not everything will be right because everybody makes mistakes, right? Well, as your child gets older, you help them with every step that they need help with in their life. And once they get out of the house, they keep in contact with you all the time. You see them constantly on holidays, and you never really lose touch. Once they develop a family of their own, you still see them on holidays, and you both still have a really good relationship with each other. Now, on the other hand, when a parent's only concerned about taking control of their child's life and making all the decisions for them, and they don't really care what their child wants, then that's when bad things can happen. Picture this. Now, once your child starts growing up, you make all the decisions for them before they get out of the house. You tell them what they can do, where they can go. You always want to know where they're at. Maybe you don't let them ever go out of the house to do things with their friends. This doesn't really have a healthy, trustful relationship. Once the child does get out of the house, and that's when you don't really ever see them again on holidays and you don't keep in contact with them. Once they have a family of their own, then you're not really a part of that anymore. These are some of the ways that being a good role model can help benefit your child. I described to you the problem that overprotective parenting can cause. I helped you see some solutions that can help prevent it, and I helped show you what could happen if these solutions are or are not put into place. So you may be wondering, well, what can I do about it? I don't have any kids right now. I don't have a family. Well, what about the day when you do have a family, when you do have kids? What path do you want to go down? Thank you. Are there any